Dear student, welcome to our today's one of the very interesting experiment, experiment number 22, to study the effect of chlorpromazine on animal behavior. With this experiment, today we are going to see a wonderful story, and with this wonderful story, we are going to understand the concept of this mechanism of action of chlorpromazine and behavior of the animal. What is the difference between the behavior of the animal as well as the behavior of the human being? So with that story, we will see in next slide, in next part of this experiment. So the aim of the experiment is to study the effect of chlorpromazine on animal behavior by using MSBTCD. So let's start with this MSBTCD. We are going to study with this.
Aim of this experiment is taming and hypnosis potentiating effect of chlorpromazine in mice.
With this aim, taming and hypnosis potentiating effect of chlorpromazine in mice, we are going to study the behavior of the animal. So this is the aim of the experiment. With this aim, the main objectives are:
The objectives of this experiment are to understand the terms mood elevators, antipsychotic, neuroleptics, antimanic or mood stabilizers, tranquilizer. To understand tosis, psychosis. To understand schizophrenia, delusions, hallucinations. To know various methods employed for evaluating psychotropic drugs.
these are the objectives of our today's experiment. Already some of the points we have covered in drugs acting on mental illness. You can have this link in description, so you can again watch it there. The main object is to understand the term mood elevator. What do you mean by the antipsychotics? What are the neuroleptics? How the antimanic drugs are acting? How the mood stabilizers are, tranquilizers are, as well as to understand the terms stosis, psyche, psychosis. To understand schizophrenia, delusion, hallucination, definition, as well as the meaning or some part we had seen this. And the last object is to know the various methods employed for evaluating different psychotropic drugs. So this is the main intention, main purpose, objective of this experiment. So to fulfill these objectives, we should have some requirement. So in this experiment, we are going to use animal is a mice, and the drugs which preferred in this experiment are chlorpromazine within a concentration within a dose that 4 milligram per kg, and the route of administration of drug is intraperitoneal, while pentobarbital sodium is also preferred, and this pentobarbital sodium is used with a concentration 45 milligram per kg and administration by intraperitoneal. In this experiment, we are going to use one very beautiful apparatus that's named as Cook's pole clamping apparatus or Cook's pole clamping chamber. And for administration of drug, only disposable syringes we could prefer. So with this requirement, let's start how this actually we are going to be conduct this experiment. Before that, we will see what is the theory behind that. Nosology is known as the science of classification of different diseases. So with respect of the nosology, we could understand what are the different classes of the diseases. And from that, one of the disease they have discussed, that is a psychosis. Initially, that psychosis is not so much differentiated, so much not classified disease. But as the sciences get developed, again it get bifurcated, again it get by distributed in some parameters, in some titles. The titles like psychosis, cognitive disorder, mood disorder, anxiety disorder, or sometimes disorders of the personality. So these are the some titles under which some specifications for the symptoms they have get understood. And with respect to that, these titles are get investigated. These titles are get comes in establishment. Today we are going to discuss about the psychosis. So what do you mean by the psychosis? Psychosis is nothing but it is a mental disorder of organic or emotional origin, which is characterized by rearrangement of personality and loss of contact with reality, along with some delusion, hallucination, as well as illusion. Already these part we had seen in our theory, and the link is available in description box, so you can revisit this link and you can learn about this morely. So this is the main intention that we called as a psychosis. That is the main thing that we called as a psychosis. So today we are going to discuss with this psychosis. So for the treatment of the psychosis, we could use the drug that we call as an antipsychotic. So these antipsychotics are used primarily in management of the patient with some psychotics and other psychotic related illness, which are marked by some agitations and impaired reasoning. So just I told you that nosology get identified. So these are the different class of the mental illness. Initially, that is only one consideration, that is a psychosis. But as it is get studied on there, then depend upon its symptoms, depend upon its behavior, they are again bifurcated in further classes. So one of that is it depends on agitation and impaired reasoning. These are get bifurcated. One must understand that the essential characteristics of human mental disorder cannot be reproduced in animal. That is one of the very interesting sentence. As we can say that the social life of human being and animal is quite different. Many times you could observe that if you are sitting in your room and one of your best friend came there and he's not talking anything, he's not spoke anything, and he just went out from your room without talking single word. As you observe this situation, immediately you have started to thinking that why he has not spoke with me. What is the reason? Why he is not speaking? Is there anything wrong? As I did something wrong? As I heard why he is doing like this? So like this thinking he started. So related to that, number of the thoughts are started to release. This is not the right condition. This is one phase. But when you ask next day, next moment, or next hour, when you ask him, why you did like this? You came in my room and you spoke anything, you didn't spoke anything, and you went out. What is the reason? Is anything wrong with me? Is anything problem with you? Then he could say that, yeah, I'm little bit hurry and I was busy and I was thinking little bit some other parameters, and that's why I didn't spoke with you. So this is the reason. But until and unless this main condition is not came in front of you, we are started to think a lot about it, why it is happened like this and like that and look to. But the reason is that there is something that he is thinking, and that's why he is not spoke with you. It's a simple thing. One more example, suppose there are two people here fronting, they are standing in just 10 feet apart from you, and they just stare on you and they started to talk with you. So immediately what we are thinking, immediately we are going to start the thinking that I think they are talking about me. What is they are talking about them? Why they are talking about me? Is something it is related to serious thing, or why they are gossiping like that? So this type of gossiping thoughts we have started for thinking. Why? The thing is that we are socially connected animals, and because of this particular scenario, because of this particular situation, it is quite difficult. It is quite difficult that such mental disorder characteristics should be get reproduced in animal. It is quite difficult. Therefore, the cognition, communication, and social relationship in animals are difficult to compare with the human relation. And chlorpromazine is used for the treatment of psychiatric disorders of particular various types, like a remarkable reduction in psychomotor excitement, other manic states, as well as the schizophrenia. What do you mean by the schizophrenia? Schizophrenia is a mental disorder or a group of disorder characterized by disturbances in a form of contents, thoughts, and in mood, in scenes of self and relationship to the external world. They are least bothered about what they are doing. Sometimes they will started to cry anywhere. Sometimes they started to laugh. Sometimes they started to dance. Sometimes they will started to shout. Don't know what is the thing. In a simple scene, they will started to shout. We can't judge in what scenario what they will do. It is quite difficult to judge these peoples. So the thoughts and moods are so much disturbed with these peoples. These are called as a schizophrenia. So this chlorpromazine is also used for the management of this schizophrenia. It also involves and separation of the spontaneous movement, complex behavior, while spinal reflexes are remain intact. You could have seen that there are few peoples who are under the psychotic treatment. So what is the main intention in that? The psychotic peoples are very excited. They don't know at what situation what they will behave. Their behavior is always a complex behavior. So if there is something is there, they will started to shout, they started to laugh, they started to struggle, they started to quarrel. They don't know. So this is its behavior, and it is a quite embarrassing in a society. So what we need in this treatment, we need to suppress this spontaneous movement. They will give a spontaneous action, spontaneous response. Which one is very restricted with other common peoples, but they are giving a spontaneous response. So such type of spontaneous responses they are get avoided, as well as some complex behavior should get avoided. But how will you do this? We need to reduce the central nervous system activity. But if we reduce the central nervous system activity, along with these, our other normal reflexes are also get hampered. We should have only hamper the spontaneous moment as well as the complex behavior, but other reflexes should get remain intact, and that's the thing that chlorpromazine does it. That chlorpromazine trying to maintain the spinal reflexes while other spontaneous movement and complex behaviors are get suppressed. That is the main intention. Along with this, in human, the chlorpromazine reduces initiative and interest in environment. What do you mean by this? Or manifestation of emotions or slowness in response to the external stimuli. Many times what happens, if you see the peoples, they if someone is there and just if they copied them, if they or someone is teased them, they will started to react very highly, very badly. They are started to react. That is called as initiative. If someone is there and if they are copying their actions, copying their words, they immediately get excited. So this environmental excitement, some people are there, they are trying to just tease the others. So in such cases, if someone is did like this, then the people started to react very badly. So such environmental excitement should get reduces, as well as whatever the different emotion that they were started for crying at any place, they are started to laugh at any place, they are started to dance, they started to do anything. So such type of manifestations, emotions related activities, their manifestation symptoms, these symptoms are get reduces, as well as its slowness to the external stimuli. Even though someone is get tease them, even though someone is doing something teasing activity, they will not get excited because of the chlorpromazine. And drowsiness and patient become less agitated. Even though the treatment is there, people will just keep a quiet, keep a calm. They will not go always sleep, but they have some quietness, calmness because of the chlorpromazine. That is the main thing. The aggressive and impulsive behavior is get diminished. Aggressive and impulsive behavior is get diminished. Delusion, hallucination is disappear, which is known as taming effect. Psychological and behavioral effect produced in animals by chlorpromazine shows striking similarity to the human being in low doses. And chlorpromazine reduces excitement, but spinal reflexes are remain unchanged. That is the most important thing. In high doses, chlorpromazine causes cataleptic immobility in animals. Now, what do you mean by the cataleptic immobility? Cataleptic means it is a condition of diminished responsiveness characterized by a trance-like state and by a waxy rigidity of a muscle. And because of this, patient tends to remain in any position in which he is placed. Very simple example, if you say what do you mean by cataleptic activity, there are few people, Rishi Munis, they were sitting in a one position, that they stand in a one leg and doing sadhana for many years. Why? Because of this cataleptic activity, they could enter in a trance state, and because of that, their muscles get stuck sturdy, and due to that, even though there is a heavy rain, there is a heavy sunlight, there is no any impact on that. Why? Because they have entered in a trance state. There are different states of this mind. There is a trance state, alpha, beta, trance, likewise, depending upon the number of thoughts running at that place at that time, that we call as a trance state. So at high doses, this chlorpromazine causes cataleptic immobility in animals. The muscle tone is increased and ptosis is typical. Now, what do you mean by ptosis? It is in a state of downward displacement or prolapse of an organ or a part of body or a whole body, that we call as a ptosis. That is simply that we call as an tone of this particular organ, tone of the body is get reduced. That called as an ptosis. The animal is indifferent to stimuli. The animal is not responding to the stimuli. Whenever we are trying to apply any stimuli, this animal is not going to be stimuli. Thus, chlorpromazine also has other clinical useful properties apart from this neuroleptic activity. And it has antiemetic activity, antihistaminic activity, and ability to potentiate the analgesic, sedative, and general anesthetics also. By considering all these activity, they are called as an LARC active. As well as the tranquilizing and neuroleptic activity of chlorpromazine. Tranquilizing and neuroleptic activity. Tranquilizing and neuroleptic activity of chlorpromazine is known as ataraxic activity. So there are a few important definitions here, that is in a taming effect, cataleptic, ataraxic activity. So these are the some important definitions: illusion, delusion, hallucination. So these are the points that we have covered in this slide. Now, next one is that the ataraxic activity, is more than its sedative and anesthetic effect. Chlorpromazine induces tranquilization, that is nothing but the taming and calming effect, without sedation or loss of alertness. This taming and potentiating effect of chlorpromazine can be studied in laboratory by the different models. The models are like, first one is observing avoidance of conditional response. This is one model. Second one is animal behavior. Third one is ability to potentiate CNS depressant activity. One more, that is reduce the motor activity. So these are the different models by which we can mechanism of antipsychotic drugs. The responses can be observed in following manner. Chlorpromazine potentiate barbiturate sleeping time in rodents by employing writing reflex method. That is one of the very important thing. chlorpromazine potentiating means when we are combining combining two drugs, that is chlorpromazine and barbiturate. Barbiturate is the seen as depressant, it induces the sleep. But when we use a single barbiturate, in how much time it takes to induce the sleep, and when we use a combination, then how much time we get that the animal is get in a sleep, that is in a potentiating sleeping time. Second one is conditional avoidance response by employing pole climbing method. That is one of the method by which we can see here. Today we are going to see that is a conditional avoidance response. Next one is the reduced spontaneous motor activity by using ectophotometer. That already we had seen it. One more method, that is a potentiate analgesic activity by hot plate method. What do you mean by this hot plate method? Hot plate method means one instrument is there, and on that instrument there is one plate which is get heated we are giving some specific temperature that it can tolerate this temperature, and we keep this animal on this hot plate and we try to rise the temperature with certain degree Celsius. A temperature, there is a certain temperature on which we can try to tolerate, but after certain level of a certain degree of temperature, that animal is not able to tolerate that temperature. So what is that? And when we gave any analgesic drug, what is the scenario that we are trying to see? That we called as a potentiating analgesic activity. Next one is antagonism of stimulant drug and suppressive combativeness, that we are not going to see, but already these are the things that could used for the that could be used for the defining of the some responses. So today we will try to say one beautiful story. So with that beautiful story, we could understand that how these animals are behaving and how the human psychology is there and what is the animal psychology there. The story is like this. एका सायंटिस्टनी ही ट्रायल घेतली होती. ट्रायल काय होती की एक कबड त्यांनी बनवले, काही गुहा, काही डेन त्यांनी बनवले. त्या डेन मध्ये तिथे ॲनिमल त्याला प्लेस करायचे होते. त्या डेनच्या समोरच्या बाजूला एक पिंजरा होता, ज्या पिंजऱ्यामध्ये एक ॲनिमलला ठेवलं गेलं आणि पुढे जे 7 गुहा होत्या किंवा 7 रूम होत्या किंवा 7 छोटे छोटे जे कंपार्टमेंट्स होते, त्या एका कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये त्यांनी खायला ठेवलं होतं. एका ठराविक वेळाने जेव्हा ॲनिमलला भूक लागली तेव्हा त्यांनी त्याला पिंजऱ्यातून काढलं आणि त्या 7 जे कंपार्टमेंट होते त्याच्या समोर सोडलं. आता भूक लागलेली त्यामुळे ॲनिमल काय केला, ती पहिल्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, तिथं त्यांनी शोधलं की तिथं खायला काय मिळते काय. परत बाहेर आला, दुसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, तिथं तो गेला, तिथं गेल्यानंतर परत त्यांनी शोधलं की तिथं काय खायला मिळते काय. बाहेर आला, तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, तिथं त्याला खायला ठेवलं होतं. तिथं खायला ठेवलं होतं तर तो खाल्ला, भरपूर खाल्लं. परत येऊन तो त्याच्या केजमध्ये गेला, तिथं तो बसला. नेक्स्ट टाइम परत जेव्हा भूक लागली, परत त्याला सोडलं. परत सोडल्यानंतर तो पहिल्या फेजमध्ये, दुसऱ्या कंपार्टमध्ये, तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमध्ये गेला, खाल्लं, बाहेर आला. जसं काही दिवस गेले तर त्याला लक्षात आलं, त्या ॲनिमलला लक्षात आलं की तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये इथं खायला ठेवलेलं आहे. हे जसं त्याला माहीत झालं तसं काय त्या सायंटिस्टनी काय केलं, ती जी खायची वस्तू ठेवलेली तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमधून ती काढून त्यांनी 6व्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये नेऊन ठेवली. जागा बदलली, लोकेशन चेंज केली. ॲनिमलला आलं. ॲनिमल पहिल्यांदा काय केला, डायरेक्टली तो गेला कुठं, डायरेक्टली गेला तो तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये. तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, बघितलं खायला नाही आहे, तर तो काय केला, पहिल्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, दुसऱ्यामध्ये गेला, तिसऱ्यामध्ये गेला, चौथ्यामध्ये गेला, 5व्यामध्ये गेला, 6व्यामध्ये गेला. त्यांनी खायला परत रिटर्न तो त्याच्या ठिकाणी जाऊन बसला. तर ही त्याची स्टडी झाली. त्याच्यानंतर सेम गोष्ट त्यांनी काय केली, माणसाबरोबर ट्राय केली. तर माणसावर ट्राय करताना त्यांनी सुद्धा काय सांगितलं, सेम कंडिशन ठेवली की एक रूममध्ये त्याला तिथं ठेवलं. नंतर बाहेर बाकीच्या ठिकाणी त्याला सांगितलं की ह्या 7 ठिकाणी, या 7 ठिकाणामध्ये तुला खायला मिळेल. भूक लागली की तुला इथं शोधायचं आहे. पहिल्यांदा भूक लागल्यानंतर गेला, पहिल्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, बघितलं तिथं काय मिळतं का, नाही मिळालं. दुसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, नाही मिळालं. तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, बघितला खायला काय नाही आहे, खायला आहे, खाल्लं त्यांनी. खाल्ल्यानंतर परत येऊन बसला. नेक्स्ट डे सेम डायरेक्टली गेला तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंट, ॲज अ ह्युमन बिईंग आहे, माहीत झालं, पटकन लक्षात आलं, तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, बघितलं, खायला मिळालं, बसला. लगेच सायंटिस्टनी काय केलं, तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये ठेवलेल्या खायच्या वस्तू काय केल्या, बदलल्या, 6व्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये टाकल्या. पर्टिक्युलरली लगेच गेला ॲनिमल, जसं माणसाला भूक लागली, भूक लागल्यानंतर दरवाजा उघडला, डायरेक्टली तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये गेला, शोधलं, खायला नाहीये. परत रिटर्न तो जाऊन त्याच्या जागी जाऊन बसला. तो तिथं शोधला नाही की याच्या पुढच्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्ये कुठं खायला आहे का, खायला असेल का, नसेल का, ही गोष्ट त्यांनी शोधली नाही. दिस इज द बेसिक डिफरन्स बिटवीन द ॲनिमल अँड ह्युमन बिहेवियर, मेंटल बिहेवियर. माणूस त्याच्यामध्ये परत त्याला पुढं शोधायचा प्रयत्न केला नाही, पण ॲनिमल मात्र तो त्याचा शोधायचा प्रयत्न करत होता. का? कारण त्याच्या डोक्यामध्ये एकच गोष्ट पक्की बसली की मला जर खायला मिळालं तर खायला मिळणार फक्त तिसऱ्या कंपार्टमेंटमध्येच, हे त्याच्या डोक्यात पक्क बसलं आणि ही गोष्ट तो विसरू शकला नाही. पण ॲनिमल मात्र ती गोष्ट विसरली आणि परत नेक्स्ट टाइम शोधत असताना पहिल्यापासून परत शोधायला सुरू केली. सो दॅट्स वाय इट इज टू बी कन्सिडर्ड दॅट डिपेंडिंग अपॉन दिस कंडिशन हाऊ वी आर ट्राईंग टू ट्रीट देम. त्यांना ट्रीट करत असताना कसे आपण ट्रीट करणार, या सगळ्या गोष्टी त्याच्यावर डिपेंड असू शकतात. नाव नेक्स्ट वन इज दॅट नाव वी आर गोइंग टू सी what is the actual performance of the experiment. So with the help of this experiment we are going to see how these animals are used for conducting of this experiment. So let's see.
To study the taming and hypnosis potentiating effect of chlorpromazine, always select healthy mice. Cook's pole climbing apparatus is used for this purpose. The apparatus consists of an experimental chamber with floor grate which carry electric current. A pole is hanged from the top of the chamber inside it. The electrical panel consists of rotating knobs for adjustment of time of electric shock and voltage. It is also provided with auto and manual setup for buzzer or light source along with mains on-off switch. Pole climbing apparatus also has output terminals which can be connected to a kymograph. Now place mice individually in the chamber and observe normal behavior. Train the mice to escape from electric shock by climbing up the pole. This is called as non-conditioned response. Similarly, train the mice to climb up the pole in response to danger signals such as buzzer sound or light flash which occurs before the shock. This is called as conditioned avoidance response. Remember, this may require 2 to 3 weeks period. Keep mice number 1 as control. Now inject chlorpromazine in a dose 4 mg per kg intraperitoneally to mice number 2 and observe conditioned and non-conditioned responses. You can see that chlorpromazine blocks conditioned avoidance response, which means the mice forgets to climb on the pole in response to the danger signal. However, chlorpromazine fails to block non-conditioned response. This is indicated by escape of mice to electric shock by climbing on the pole. For studying hypnosis potentiating effect of chlorpromazine by writing reflex method, select 3 3 healthy mice of either sex. Inject chlorpromazine in dose 4 mg per kg intraperitoneally to mice number 1. Observe onset and duration of sleeping time in mice by checking writing reflex at regular intervals. Here, sleeping time is considered as the time intervals between loss and recovery of writing reflex. In mice number 2, inject pentobarbital in a dose 45 mg per kg intraperitoneally. Observe onset and duration of sleeping time. Remember, writing reflex in mice means the ability of mice to regain normal posture. You can see here, onset of sleeping time is quick and duration of sleep is prolonged than mice number 1. In mice number 3, inject chlorpromazine in same dose by intraperitoneal route, and after 30 minutes, inject pentobarbital in a same dose intraperitoneally. Observe onset and duration of sleeping time. You can see that onset of sleeping time reduces, whereas duration of sleeping time increases in mice number 3 as compared to mice number 1 and 2. This indicates chlorpromazine has hypnosis potentiating effect on pentobarbital induced sleep.
Yes. So this is a very beautiful presentation about the two activities. One is first, that is with the help of Cook's pole climbing apparatus, we could see the timing effect. And after that, we had seen that is a hypnosis potentiating effect with the chlorpromazine and pentobarbital combination. So this is the first. Initially, they are given information about this apparatus, Cook's pole climbing apparatus. Then let's start immediately. We are going to a main point. This is a chamber and this is a pole. This chamber, these are having some rods, and these rolls are having a current. Because of that, this animal prevent from this shock, animal get and climb on this pole. That's why it's called as a Cook's pole climbing apparatus. So these grids are get there, and initially this animal is get placed here, and we apply a shock. When we apply a shock, to prevent from the shock, it will start to get climb on this pole. So first few weeks we are giving a training for that. After that, we are using one more beautiful concept here. That is, first we will glow a button here, glow a bulb here. As we glow bulb here, and then followed by a shock. Then followed by a shock or buzzer. We can use a buzzer as we apply buzzer and then followed by a shock. So initially animal don't know what is the condition. This is the condition. Initially animal don't know what is the actual things are going on. Why buzzer is there. But once he get realized that buzzer is there, but after buzzer there is a shock. So as soon as the buzzer is there, I need to climb on this pole. So he should get realized this is a condition. So after that we will follow the condition that we only apply buzzer, only we apply light. And because of only apply buzzer, he immediately, in next moment, immediately he go and climb on a pole. Why? To just avoid this response, just avoid this shock. So this is what the condition. And after that we give a drug chlorpromazine intraperitoneally. As we apply a drug intraperitoneally, and then again we glow the bulb or apply the buzzer. But this animal forgot why bulb is glow, why buzzer is there. He flew because he forgot to climb on a pole after the buzzer. After the buzzer. But as soon as we apply a current, immediately he go and climb on a pole. That is the response. Reflexes are there. Reflexes are there. Only he forgot the condition. Only he forgot the condition. That's called as a conditional avoidance response. That is a timing effect that we reduce it. That is the first thing. That is the first parameter. Second parameter that we had seen here in this combination, that we use a writing reflex method. So with writing reflex method, we check whether these animals are aware or not. And then we gave a 3 animals are there. In one animal, we are giving a chlorpromazine. And we check the writing reflex up to what time it has a sleep action, or what is the time needed to get a sleep with chlorpromazine. Then we use a pentobarbital, and again we check the writing reflex. Again we check the writing reflex as well as the duration of sleep. And at the end, we use a combination of chlorpromazine and pentobarbital, and we had seen the result. What is the result of this combination? So when we see the result of this combination, we could see here the first, when we gave a single chlorpromazine, the animal onset of time of sleep is 20 minutes. Duration of sleep is 17 minutes. Second, when individually we use pentobarbital, this onset of the sleep is, or loss of writing reflex is, after 15 minutes. And duration of sleep is, it's a 45 minutes when we use it individually. When we use a combination of pentobarbital and chlorpromazine, then onset of action of sleep is just 7 minutes. Loss of writing reflex within 7 minutes. And if you see, the duration of action is near about double, that is 110 minutes. So what it indicate? It indicates that it is a hypnosis potentiating effect, additional effect we had seen here. This is in a observation table. So you can write this observation table in your manual. In the manual, they have given in a observation table. Okay. It's not there. Secondly, this observation table, that is a timing effect. We can observe, we can control this timing effect with the help of chlorpromazine. How? Let's see. One animal that we kept as a control, and another animal that we used for this chlorpromazine effect. The control animal, we have administered the saline solution, and what we had seen, conditional stimuli, means after buzzer animal climbs on a pole. After buzzer, animal climbs on a pole. While in unconditional response, means only we are glow the buzzer, only we are giving a buzzer. In unconditional stimuli, animal climbs on a pole in response to shock only. Is the first that we administer the saline solution. With saline solution, in conditional response, animal climbs on a pole as soon as there is a buzzer. While in unconditional stimuli, animal climbs on a pole in response to shock only. In response to shock only. Whenever he had a shock, immediately he get climb on a pole. That is within a normal control animal. Second animal, the animal which is administered chlorpromazine, what is the response with him? The conditional response with this, the animal shows no response to buzzer, that he forgot the thing. That he forgot the thing. But in normal saline, as soon as a buzzer, immediately he climbs. This is a condition that need to be avoided. That is a condition that we need to avoid. Here, because of chlorpromazine, he forgot the condition that why the buzzer is there. So animal shows no response to buzzer. He not climb on a pole. He forgot why buzzer is there. Secondly, in unconditional response, animals after shock, animal climbs on a pole. So the response is after shock, I need to prevent from shock and I should get climb on a pole. That is a parameter, normal response, normal reflex. It is not forgotten by the animal. It is remain as it is, as like a control. But in conditional response, he is not forgotten why the buzzer is there. Immediately after the buzzer, he get climb on a pole. But in second animal, he forgot why buzzer is there, and because of that, we can say that this animal that is nothing but treated with an chlorpromazine, it reduces this condition, avoids the condition that is called as a damming effect. This observation table you need to write in your manual. This is a manual. So in your manual, try to write this conditional and unconditional responses. So from observation, we can conclude that, therefore, from observation, it is concluded that chlorpromazine causes CNS stimulant or depressant. It is a depressant effect. It is a depressant effect. So this is what about the observation table. Now next one is that
You have learned that you will be able to distinguish between different psychological disturbances in human being. Selective antipsychotics are available in a peculiar psychic disorders. You will be able to understand that animal models employed do not always give true efficacy about a drug. Therefore, cognition, communication, and social relationships in animals are difficult to compare with human conditions.
so what we have learned from this experiment, we learn that is we can able to distinguish between the different psychological disturbances in human being, as well as selective antipsychotic drugs are used for the treatment of the particularly psychiatric disorders. And most important thing is we able to understand that animal models employed do not always give true efficacy about the drug. Why? Because the psychological disorders in animal and psychological disorders in human being are quite different, that we already seen. Therefore, the cognition, communication, social relationship in animals are difficult to compare with the human condition. So this is what about our today's experiment, which is very important. If anything is there, let me know. Thank you for listening me. Thank you very much.